Welcome, ladies, to the Real Estate Investor Show, providing inspiration, strategies, and insight to empower women investors to live balanced and financially free lives. Now, here are your co-hosts, Liz and Andressa.
So in today's episode, ladies, we have Sara Gair. She and her husband have been investing for about a year, but have done so many amazing things in just 1 year. We go through so many different things around what she's learned, what she would have done differently, and most importantly, what does she specifically do day to day to set herself up for success? We go there, we get specifics from her so that you could be also doing those in your own life.
Yeah, this is a special episode because if you're listening to us, we interview so many successful women in real estate that have a ton of doors, ton of experience. And it's really refreshing to talk to somebody during their first year, because I forgot mine. I don't remember exactly what happened, but it's very interesting to have a conversation with somebody that it is on her first year and it's been very successful. So we went over the specifics about what did she do in order to acquire those properties and take her business to the next level on her own terms. That's the most important thing in the midst of COVID. So this is a special one for you.
Welcome back, ladies. This is Liz.
And this is Andressa.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Investor Show, where we're all about interviewing women that are just doing amazing things in real estate, whether they're growing their portfolio or whether they're done and they're just adding advice and sharing their wisdom. But we're all about serving women to empower them to live a financially free and balanced life. Right, Andressa?
That is right. Whatever balance means to you.
Yeah. So if you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. I personally know how busy women are. So thank you for taking a moment to be with us. And we will make this, as we like to say, we go deep but brief, and we kind of jump right into it. So thank you for joining us. And if you're someone who's been with us for a few years, thank you. Thank you for being on this journey with us. We just love hearing from you. We love being in communication with you on our Facebook community and our membership and all the things we have going on. So thank you. And if you haven't ever given us a review, please stop this podcast right now. No, don't stop. But if you can give us a review, that really helps us on iTunes and promoting this and sharing this. We would really appreciate that, especially for our very strong tribe of women who do appreciate this, right, Andressa? We do have a very strong group of women who have our back.
It's funny. Sometimes they don't know we have a podcast, or they came on one of our meetups across the country and they said, "Oh, so wait a minute." And they start like scrolling in front of me and say, "What? You have more than like 200 episodes?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're all women. I was like, "Yeah." It's like, I can't believe this. Where was I? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, we've done
share with other women that you like, trust, and respect that might also benefit from listening to our episodes.
Yes. So we have Sara Gair here. Sara, thanks so much for making time to share your journey with the women listening. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, or having me. I usually do with my husband, but yeah, thanks for having me.
I do that all the time. If someone says to me, I'm like, we, I just think of myself and my other self. So don't worry about it, please.
There's two of us.
Exactly. I have multiple personalities. That's definitely the case. So before we jump into Sara's story, we really like to just share a quick tip or suggestion. We like to follow 3 pillars in our community, whether it obviously investing, real estate investing is our core. We also love to give content and kind of community around business, because we don't want you to run this as a hobby. We know how busy women are, so we have to put those processes and people in place so we can do what we're great at. And we also are so all about self-care, mindset, self-care, really taking care of yourself on your own terms, and not doing this where you're just begrudgingly just create another job for yourself, and doing it in a way that serves you and serves your whole self, not just your pocketbook. So that's what we're all about. And I just want to share a quick tip or a quick story, Andressa, about a mastermind we were part of. You were part of this call as well. So I'm just like, what call are you talking about? We're on a lot of masterminds together, Andressa, right? So what I wanted to quickly share is we were on a mastermind about a month ago, a few weeks ago, And we were doing this with our Investor EXP team. And we do have an EXP team that's investor focused. And what's really cool about this is that we have a circle of women, are women like, women real estate agents who also, right, want to take their investments deeper. And that's the kind of community and accountability that we're growing across the country. It's really, really cool and exciting. And one of the things that we offer to our team is a mastermind. So on this mastermind, it was really interesting. A woman was sharing about a big apartment complex that she was looking to purchase. Her and her husband had some money put aside. They financially, kind of were thinking about different options. And as we started to ask her some questions about this opportunity. And, large multi is not the same as small multi. We all know that. But, the things you have to look for, how you can finance it. I mean, I make a long list because we literally have transitioned that way. And so as we started talking about this, she was so great, so receptive, and like taking notes and asking questions. We got to the point where you have two choices when you're into something larger than maybe your experience allows. One, you can figure it out, right?
By yourself.
By yourself. And I feel like I am really good at that.
We're masters at that, right? Women is just like masters at it.
And that's honestly how me and my husband grew our business. But I will tell you, when you do that, things take longer and they cost more money, and more mistakes will be had. And I'm not saying that's a right or wrong journey, but I can tell you personally, right, that also came along with some heartache. So what we suggested to her, and an idea for you, for the ladies listening, you're doing flips and you're transitioning to something else, or you're scaling. You've done some small multis, you want to get into something larger. One of the best things you can do, and yes, you can go get expensive coaching and all that important stuff. There's a lot of different avenues. But one suggestion that doesn't get talked about enough is to bring in someone who's literally has a lot of experience in that asset class, right? So they've brought to, complete fruition apartment complexes, right? That's someone you would want to mentor under. Now, mentors are busy. People that are in the business are busy. And I've seen arrangements made that they come in as a mentor, but you give them a slice of the equity for that. So they bring along their context, they bring along their expertise, they bring along so many different things. So don't feel like you always have to pay, right, a big chunk of money. That's one way. You can also do it through equity. And I've seen that arrangement. We've done that arrangement, right, on Jessa in the past, almost like a JV sort of arrangement. But in that vein, you can get the support you need, but also but set yourself up for success, right? Because there are going to be things that come up, especially you start to get into large commercial. That's not something I would just jump in without any experience, me personally. So that's just a thought for you. And I know a lot of women and a lot of people want to grow into multi or want to expand their multifamily business. It's one way to do it. And you want to make it enticing to that person. Say, listen, I got this great deal. Because right now deals are harder to get. They can bring their expertise. They can also spend some time with you each week and then make some equity. They're going to be very motivated to help you be successful because how are they getting paid? Getting paid through equity. So that could be a win-win. Just a thought, a suggestion to give women listening to get into larger things and not feel like you have to do it alone or pay out the wazoo at the beginning.
Yeah, I always keep hitting the same thing, like what's it called, like hitting on the head, that real estate, it's not like a solo game. It's not tennis. It is not like the mastermind, figuring out with other people that have done different things, that are ahead of the game or have different experiences, can bring different ideas. Partnering up with other folks that are ahead of the game, it's just like shortcuts. I feel that it's shortcuts. I think that the women that are listening, if you are doing everything, the figuring out part, and you're wearing so many hats that you can open a store if you want, it's just going to take you longer, and you might lose the precious time that we always have right now to live life now. So how can you do that? Is by leveraging and really finding your tribe. There's so many tribes out there. You got to find yours. And I'm biased. I like ours best. So join our Facebook community. There's so many women out there that are really gracious and generous and ready to help.
Yes. Very cool. Awesome stuff. So Sarah, without further ado, let's jump into your journey and your story. I think that's part of why Andres and I love interviewing women, because everyone has a story, everyone has a journey, and we can learn something from it. So for you, what propelled you to get involved and start investing in real estate?
Yeah, so we started investing about a year and a couple months ago. I say we as me and my husband. And so he had a bunch of mentors kind of pushing him into doing real estate. And at the time, it just didn't work. And then when COVID hit and when we were working from home, it was like, all right, now it's too good of a time. We have opportunities throughout the day at lunchtime or like right after work. We got so many hours back in the day by working from home that we're like, all right, let's just do it. So at that point, I started getting my real estate license. So I got my real estate license. I'm a licensed realtor, which helped us really propel our business. And then we do the BRRRR strategy, we do flips, and then we wholesale. But when we first got started, we were solely focused on doing the BRRRR strategy. And we got some rentals at the beginning, and then we started realizing that we could do flips to bring in some more cash. And we tried to expand our portfolio of the different ways that we do different like exit strategies. So we never had to leave a deal on the table. So COVID was actually really great for us. We took a sour situation and tried to make it something sweet. And since then we've done a bunch of deals and it's been super fun.
I love it. So I want to dive into this because I think I say something so differently on so many podcasts about this idea of focus, right? So you've gotten started about a year. You have 5 rentals. You've done a handful of flips. You've done a handful of wholesales. And so you actually say that how valuable that is to not be in one thing, but to have done a few different things, right? As you're getting going, you're growing your business, you're growing your portfolio. And someone like me, we got started 15 years ago. So when someone says, hey, what was one of the things you should have done differently when you started? I always say, literally, I'm almost every podcast I'm on, we should have focused more. We shouldn't have done so many different things. So from a not devil's advocate perspective, because I think what you're saying, actually there's value to if you do it correctly. Why has it been so helpful to you as, in the last year to get involved in multiple strategies? Tell me more about that, because I think there is value there. I don't want to dismiss that or even say never do that, but I'm curious how it's helped you and how the women listening can also say, okay, there's value to this. And then, how do I best not get so distracted, but get focused on a few different strategies, if you will. So I'm curious to learn a little more about that from you.
So I 100% agree with you. When you first get started, I was solely focused on one thing, because otherwise you're going to get distracted. You're going to spread yourself too thin, and then it's going to be very hard to master one thing or the other. So when we first got started, we focused solely on BRRRR because, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So it's a strategy to build your portfolio with buying distressed properties, fixing them up. So we were doing that, and we got enough rentals where we kind of felt comfortable. And then our goals changed, right? So instead of trying to accumulate cash flow, we wanted to build up our reserves, right? So we could do more deals. And so we were like, okay, how do we build up more reserves? And we started doing flips. And then we were like, how can we build up our reserves more quickly? All right, let's just do wholesales. So as we kind of mastered one strategy, we felt comfortable jumping into other things. And at different periods in time and at different times, like when we have different goals, it's like, okay, do we want to build more cash flow, or do we want to build more just hard cash that we have in the bank? So that's when we kind of focus on a different strategy. And the reason why it's nice to have those 3 different exit strategies is that if it doesn't work as a flip, okay, well, could it be a rental? If it doesn't work as a rental, because our numbers and what we are looking for in a deal is too high, maybe it will work for another investor who's only looking for an 8% return. And then that way we can wholesale it. So we just don't want to leave deals on the table. And that's why having multiple exit strategies makes it much easier for us, because if one strategy doesn't work, 3 different things in our toolkit that we can pull from.
Yeah, and then I know has something, because I know she's going to go in another direction. I just want to say, I think that's the difference of what me and my husband didn't do. The different strategies were actually not connected. And so what you're doing so beautifully, and I think that's really distinctive, is that they're connected. Like they're, okay, I'm doing this, but it could be here, here, or here. We didn't do that. We bought raw land, we bought a commercial building, and we bought a multifamily. Totally different things. So now I finally get it, why we had so many struggles early on. No, I'm joking. This is all about me and my own therapy of why our journey was so screwed up. No, but I think that's a very important distinction I wanted to quickly make. So I'm sorry, Andressa.
Liz, you're going to be surprised.
Uh-oh.
I was going there too.
Of course we are. Of course
No,
we have the same mind.
I was going to say a similar thing. It's different strategies, but they're all feeding the same thing. As if you imagine like burr on top of your hierarchy, and then the other strategies are really feeding that, right? If it is wholesaling and flipping, generating capital so you can indeed buy the burr property. So I think they're all connected. So Sara, it's been almost around 1 year since you guys got started. When looking back, for all the ladies that are in similar situation, what are the lessons that you have learned during that period, your first year in real estate, that you wish you knew?
The biggest thing I would say, and this is like I say this every time, it's like my biggest frustration. There was a deal, and this is when we had only like one tool in our toolkit. We were going to do we were doing burr, but if you know how to burr, you know how to flip. So we were going to flip this house, and we had no idea how to wholesale. And we got the house under contract, and then our rehab bids came back too high, but it was still a solid deal. And then our lender couldn't lend on it, or there was a bunch of different things. So we ended up backing out of the deal, and this big time wholesaler in Houston came and picked it up. And then within like 5 minutes, they had investors lined up out the door, and they ended up wholesaling it for $50,000 more than what we had it under contract for. So my biggest regret, something I really wish I knew, was how do I have multiple exit strategies? And the thing I always say is just don't leave deals on the table. If it's a good deal, and for one reason or another, it doesn't work for you, just like Liz was saying at the beginning, like there's so many people out there who are willing to help. I mean, write in a Facebook group, say, hey, I got this awesome deal. Does anyone have any suggestions? And then maybe you start having a conversation with somebody, and they can say, okay, well, I wholesale, and maybe you don't know how to wholesale, but you bring me the deal, we partner on it, I'll find you a buyer, and we can joint venture on it together. But I mean, I would always do that. If someone brought me a good deal, I'd bet, let's joint venture on it. I'll find you a buyer. Let's just work on this together. And then we both make some money. But there's so many gracious people in this business. There's some people who don't want to share information, but if you don't know how to do something, always reach out and try to find someone who can help you, just because otherwise you're going to have this regret like I do, just leaving all this money on the table that you think you could have gotten in a different way.
Right. But I guess you learned the lesson right away, right?
Yeah. I was like, don't do this again.
Never, ever again. How did you go about getting that information about the 3 different strategies? Because sometimes it's overwhelming, right? If you look around and see there's so many courses, there's so many gurus, there's so many books, podcasts about it. You can spend the entire year or years learning about those 3 different strategies that we're talking now: wholesaling, burr, and flip, and not do a deal. So I'm very curious about, how did you go about getting the knowledge and taking the action?
Yeah. So for burr, that's what we started with. And I think if you know how to burr, you definitely know how to flip. It's just kind of taking out 2 steps. So with burr, we took a course, a weekend course. And then the biggest thing for me was like, once I learned how to run the numbers and the financial aspect of it, to me, we can kind of jump in. So once we did that, there's a great book. It's called The Burr Book. I think it's by Brian Turner or by David Green.
It's David. He's going to be pissed off with
David Green.
It's David. All right, David, you got it. Plug in.
But that book it's super detailed. It's very focused. You pick up the book, you read it from cover to cover, and you'll basically know how to do burr, right? So for me, books are really helpful to kind of learn how to do something. And then if I have questions, I have mentors and stuff that I can go ask things to, because I've built that community like you guys spoke about. But for me, I like doing the books just because if you have one strategy you want to do, find one book, find the burr book. There's a flip book from Bigger Pockets. There's an auction book from Bigger Pockets, right? There's all these different books. Read one book and you'll be like, okay, it's focused. I don't need to jump all over the place and find all these different things, because at that point it's incredibly overwhelming. And you can be like, oh, cool, trailer parks. Let me try that. Or let me try new construction, right? So finding one thing that's very focused really helped me.
Yeah. Love that. And I also, when we were going over your bio and how you've grown in the last year, you did it with some of your projects, right? little or no money of your own.
Yeah.
And definitely one of my favorite things to talk about too, because it's really how me and my husband scaled as well. And how Andres and I, right, how we've done a number of deals, all of our deals, probably all the deals we've partnered together, actually. So it is a really great strategy. It is very scary to a lot of people. And it's actually not as common as we all think, even if you've always done it. So for you, what was your first deal that you didn't use your own money? And how did you navigate that? And how did you put it together?
Yeah. So that's my other tip too, is you don't have to have a bunch of money to invest in real estate. There's a lot of
What, Sarah? What are you talking about?
people, a lot of people have a lot of money and they don't want to do the work. And if you're willing to put in the work, they'll give you the money. So our first deal we did with other people's money was our first flip, actually. And I think it's much easier to partner on flips than it is to partner on single family rentals, just because on single family rentals, there's just not enough money in the game. Now on multifamily rentals, it's a completely different story. So on our first flip, we had been posting on Instagram and talking to our friends and family and telling them what we had been doing. And everyone's like, oh, this is cool. Like, I don't think that's going to work for you guys, but like, good luck, more power to you. Showing them like,
it's so encouraging, right?
Yeah. I was like, thanks guys. Like retire in 5 years. LOL. It's not going to happen. But I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. But once you start doing it, once you start posting on Instagram, showing your success and talking to your friends and stuff, people will say, hey, like, I want to invest with you. Like, I don't know how to do real estate. Can I give you some money and we can do it together? So we had a bunch of people reaching out to us, and we had two of my husband's friends who were like, all right, I want to, let's do this. Like, I'm ready to do it. So they sent us the money. We gave them, I think it was a 1099, just so for tax purposes, we set up a contract, the joint venture agreement. And we did all the work. We found the deal. We brought the contractor. We monitored the progress of everything. And then they just kind of put up the money. And then at the end of the deal, we split the profits 50-50. And since then, we've just decided on flips, like we're not putting up any money. If it's more than a certain amount of money, we're not putting in any money. And if we have an investor who's not interested because they want us to put up money or something, we have a list so long at this point that I'll find somebody else. And if you start posting on Instagram and kind of building your portfolio on Instagram, I swear people will reach out to you. We have random people reaching out to us. There are these two women who were in LA who found us on Instagram and reached out to us. We spoke to them on the phone for like 2 hours, explained to them like what we're doing. They're super cool, super laid back. But they wanted to invest with us as well, just because they saw our progress. And then once they met us via Zoom, they were like, okay, y'all are real people. Y'all are actually doing this. So it makes it's a little scary at first using someone else's money, but it makes it so you can scale way more quickly. And then at that point, it's really just how many deals can you find?
I think something you said at the beginning, I just want to reiterate for everyone listening too, is we overcomplicate things. let me rephrase that. I often overcomplicate things. And I know a lot of women do the same in different areas of their life. And I think you said something really beautiful and very simple. You said, we just started talking about what we're doing. And I think that's exactly what, in a lot of ways, we didn't overcomplicate that part of our business. Me and my husband, many, many moons ago, we literally just started talking to people around us about what we did in a very natural way. It's probably one of the best things to start doing if you want to start to use other people's money. It's not like this crazy strategy, right? It's literally just starting to share with people that already like, trust, and respect you, right? Not random people. Those aren't going to be people who are going to want to invest with you. Not yet. Now, people that don't know you, that increases as your circle increases, your deal flow increases, your tenure increases. But I think that's a really important point, is that we overcomplicate things. We need like this like special strategy. You just started talking about what you were doing and sharing your progress, sharing your knowledge. I think that's one of the biggest things that we all can do in the way that works for us. So when you started doing that, Sara, was there something that like you and your husband were doing this together and you said, okay, let's really go in on Instagram, or let's do progress pictures, or we really like video? Like from a technical perspective, how did you explore how you wanted to talk about what you did? Because I think also we could get stopped there. We're just not sure. Like, do I just stand outside? No, you're not going to stand outside and talk about what you do. Although you could talk to your neighbors if you're going to like, the school bus stop. But how did you do it? How did you explore, the ways, the avenues to do that? For the woman listening, I think that could be helpful.
Yeah, so we used Instagram just because we wanted to just build our portfolio, just like have everything kind of in one spot. People love before and afters, right? You have a whole networks on television dedicated to before and afters, right? Yeah. So people love that stuff. They eat it up. I mean, it's silly, but if you use hashtags and you write your comment and you tag people and you do all the little marketing things, people will start seeing your brand being built, because you'll grow your following and stuff. And for us, it's not really about the numbers. It's just about trying to help as many people as possible, because we do some other stuff on the side. But we did our Instagram because we wanted everything in one spot. You can use TikTok, you can use Facebook, whatever social media platform that you like, because you already have all your friends on there anyways. So they kind of just want to see what you're doing. And then when they see you're like, hey, like, that's cool. Like, can you show me what you're doing? Or you can tell me a little bit more about that. And then for us, like, we go to work and then we do real estate. Like, we love what we're doing. So people are like, what do you do in your free time? Well, I go on walks and I do real estate. So for us, it's our life, right? So we love talking about it. So if we're having lunch or dinner with our friends and stuff, it's bound to come up. There's no way it wouldn't come up, because it's really all we do in our free time, because we love doing this. And so now they just know us as the real estate investors. They've got questions for us like, hey, can you help me buy my house, right? And so we've kind of become like the go-to person within our friend group for questions in regards to real estate. And it really didn't take that much time, right? There's not a lot of people that are doing it, right? And if you're showing that you're doing it and you're posting constantly, people will be like, okay, they're actually doing it.
Sarah, I'm very curious, because the first year, you guys bought, besides your primary, there's like other five doors, and raise money and did not use your own. How did you overcome a lot of people say, well, I don't have the experience. I don't know if people ask me questions that I don't know. I don't have a track record of like years to show the private money lenders. How did you overcome all of those obstacles?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing is everyone has to start somewhere, right? So everyone starts with no deals. So you have to do your first deal to get experience. And the first deal is definitely scary. It's nice to have a mentor to lean on and be able to ask questions to when you do kind of get in those binds. And I highly recommend having someone to ask questions to, because we definitely had someone we asked questions to. But just jump in, right? You can definitely get into this analysis paralysis and just not move forward. But just jump in, kind of take a leap once you feel like for me, it was like, once I knew how to run the numbers, if it's a good deal, we're going to do it. So once I learned that, we were ready to jump in. And maybe you write down the 2 or 3 things that once you figure those things out, you're ready to jump in, and don't hold yourself back. And then I think you asked one more question, I don't remember what the other part of that question was.
How did you overcome when people, regarding having a track record or not for private money lenders?
Yeah, so we use hard money lenders, and the hard money lenders we work with really only work with real estate investors. So they realize that there's some people who don't know what they're doing, or they've just started, right? And your hard money lender should truly be a part of your team, right? They shouldn't be scary loan guys who are going to come, or loan sharks that are going to come after you and take your money. They should truly be a part of your team, someone you can lean on, someone you can ask questions to. So for us, once you find a couple loan people who will kind of be part of your team, then it shouldn't be as scary. But they definitely realize that there's people who are just starting out and this is their first deal.
How about the family and friends that lend money to you guys? Were they concerned? Did they have anything that you guys had to work it through? Because since there's no track record, of course, want to make sure you're taking care of their money. But there was anything that you could share with us here that you say, well, we faced this challenge and this is how we overcome it?
Yeah, so we definitely didn't use other people's money on our rentals, our first couple deals we've done, because we wanted to build our own credibility. We didn't want to risk other people's money. We didn't know what we were doing. And they also weren't going to give us money until we showed what we were doing. So then once we kind of done a couple deals, then we had more credibility. We could answer more questions because we've gone through the process. Once you've gone through the process once or twice, like, you'll really understand it and you'll be able to answer most questions. And the questions that you'll be asked that you wouldn't be able to answer to, those are very unlikely to even come up because people don't even know what to ask. So once we never used other people's money at the beginning. So we didn't really run into that issue of we don't have credibility or a portfolio to show. So we had some credibility. We had some deals that we've already done. So people were like more comfortable jumping in with us when we were doing it. And we never asked people for money because I don't ever be like, hey, like, can we have money? They had come to us. So we had a lot of people, we have a list of people who have come to us to say, we want to invest with y'all. And I guarantee you, if you start doing that, people in your circle will come to you. And it might not be one person to put up the whole $50,000 or $60,000, but you might have 5 or 6 people willing to put up 10. So there's definitely, you can put up less money and work with more people.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good way of thinking about it too, in that initially it should be you're organic in some ways, where you're creating this two-way street, right? You're not just, no one knows about you. No one knows you invest in real estate. And then you start calling people. It's almost like out of thin air. It's like, what are you doing? Like, if literally no one knows what you're doing, that should be the first thing you should start doing, is sharing what you're doing, and I think that happens. We almost live different lives, right? We have maybe, you're working your full-time job and you want to do this on the side. You still need a way to share what you're doing. That's how we started working with our first private money partners, same exact way. It was more of like this mutual thing where they wanted to actually invest in real estate. It wasn't like us asking for the money per se either. And it's not asking for money. It's giving an investment opportunity. So I think when people start to, and I know I say this like ad nauseum in our community, but I have to just say it again in case you haven't heard me say this, is that you're not asking for money. It's not a donation, right? That's great if you are, but that's not what you're doing here. You're creating an opportunity for every party to win. That's an investment opportunity. And if you start thinking that way and being that way, you're going to come across that way versus like, oh, I need to ask for 50 grand. No, you're not asking for it. No. They're doing that. You're doing this, and you're working together. It's a win-win. And I think as women sometimes, right, we could be a little, at times, especially in new areas, we could be a little, I don't know, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
But I don't know what the word that you're looking for, but like here's what I know.
Like shy about it versus like, this is what I got. This is the great opportunity.
You're conscious about it. You can't more conscious. I think that here's what I want to do a plug-in, right? Because a lot of people ask about raising private money. And if you don't know, Liz has a book on bigger pockets. Oh, no. That's Matt. Sorry, Matt. Raising private capital, bigger pockets, where there's a ton of like step-by-step how to raise private money. So check it out before I forget.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll give you that commission after
Thanks.
The podcast recording. No,
appreciate it.
So let me transition a little bit to gifts, because we often look at like lessons or things that have happened as just, oh, this was tough or that was tough. But what if we started looking at everything that's happening to us? I mean, you've had a year, right? COVID was a thing. I don't want to say a thing. It was such a world, situation that none of us ever expected, right? For what it created, what it caused, everything around it. And that was the time that you and your husband were like, we're investing in real estate and we're going to start working with other people and we're doing this. We got this. That took courage. So what gifts did you learn as a result of the last year, of doing this and starting your portfolio and sharing what you're doing and creating such momentum for you and your husband? Now those gifts could be easy or hard, right? I'm not going to say you could define gifts however you want to, but I wanted to know what gifts you've gotten from the last year that you may not have gotten had you not done what you did.
Yeah. So we were really, I guess some of the gifts we got right is just like, obviously we've gotten a lot of money from it, and it's just nice to have an extra stream of income. So we're not solely relying on our jobs, right? So I told my husband, I was like, with COVID, everyone's jobs were unstable. You didn't know if you were going to lose your job or not. So it was like, if I lost my job tomorrow, yes, I'd be very upset about it, but I wouldn't go look for another job. I would solely focus on real estate, right? So that's a huge gift for me. Is like, I know I have a skill set out of work that can make me money, and enough money that I could live off of, right? Because I would just focus 100% of my time towards that as opposed to 50% of my time. So that's been a huge gift. We've been able to build our savings up high enough where we're very comfortable. And now we're just focusing on other different things, which is also a huge gift, right? We set a goal at the beginning of the year to make a certain amount of money. When we did that, and we did it in a certain amount of time, and now we're done with that part, and now we're focusing on something else. But that's been huge for us, was just, we've set these different milestones that we want to achieve. One was building our savings to where we wanted it to be. One was accumulating enough rentals. And so that's where we're kind of focusing now into that multifamily space, so we can get the rentals and the cash flow that we want to kind of, would be another gift, would be, okay, now we've covered all of our expenses, and now working is just because we enjoy doing it.
I'm very curious, Sarah, to understand a little bit about the work that you did on your mindset itself, because if you look back, 2020 was not like a quote unquote a more ideal time to, do different things. And I love that you and your husband not just got the knowledge, but took action. What do you attribute that? Because taking action and setting up the goals, achieving them, and navigating new areas where it's, every time that it's something new, we're not like 100% confident on it, and we have, learn different things. So I'm curious to learn a little bit more about your mindset, because I'm sure you didn't build that only last year. You probably have done something prior to that, your upbringing, your parents, your schools, and different things that you have done. But I'm curious to talk about that right now.
Yeah, so I'm a really big Dave Ramsey fan. And Dave Ramsey's like, pay everything off, don't have any debt, et cetera, like pay off your house. Don't buy cars with a loan, whatever. So it was very hard for me to transition from Ramsey to Robert Kiyosaki and Grant Cardone, and having these completely different mindsets. But it's the 9 to 5, right? You get in your car, you drive to work at 9. I'm like looking around when I'm driving into work, and there's all these cars around me, and you've got people my age, you've got these 55-year-olds, these 65-year-olds. And I was like, wow, this is like 40 more years of my life. And then you go to work and you walk into the little rat race, and you walk into the machine, and you leave, and you come home at 5, and then you cook dinner, and then you go home, and then you go to sleep. And it's just like, wow, do I want to do this for the rest of my life? And I really enjoy what I do at work. But it's really, really nice. Like Liz said, it's a gift to have the option that if something changes in my life, we're actually having a baby. So
congratulations.
Congrats.
So if something changes along the way, and I want to spend more time at home, and I have the option to do that. Right. So this mindset shift, and I think COVID actually was a huge trigger of that mindset shift, was like working from home. So we've been working from home, spending a lot of time with my husband, spending time with our dogs. And I was like, wow, if I love this much time with my husband and my dogs, how am I going to feel when our baby gets here? Right? It's going to be multiplied. And so just having an opportunity and realizing now that there's an opportunity to do something else is huge. And I guess the other thing is too, it's like, I'm 100% replaceable at work. I could leave tomorrow and they'll just put another little person in my spot, and nothing's going to change. The company will keep going. It's not going anywhere. But in my business, if I don't do the work, we're not going to get any more deals, and we're not going to make any more money. So it's like, I can make this as big as I want, or I can just make enough money to cover my expenses, and then I can wipe my hands and be like, I'm done. We've got enough rentals. I'm just going to live my best life. And I don't need to grow my portfolio to 1,000 rentals. I can just have 50, and that'll cover my expenses. And that's that. So it really is nice to be able to run my own business and just have multiple opportunities. And COVID really showed me I want to have those opportunities, because I'm replaceable at work, and I don't want to have to depend on somebody else besides myself and my husband.
I think you're saying something really powerful in that we often talk about goal setting, right? We talk about what our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goals are. And that's really important. But like, where do you see yourself in 20 years, right? Like, let's talk about that, and then work backwards, or 30 years, depending on how old you are. But that's really powerful, right? And I think that's really like, if my life, if I keep doing what I'm doing, and in 20 years, where will my life be? It's a very simple question. So it's a very powerful question, right? It's like, because some things you're doing, or we're all doing, are going to get us to where we want to go, and are moving us away from where we want to go. So I really like that. I like that idea for the women listening, to like, not just goal set for 20 years, like just what do you want your life to look like in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? I don't know if I could, 40 years. I'm like, oh, am I still
what are you talking about?
I'm like, will I still be around? Yeah, I'll still be around. I sometimes feel like I'm 95, but I think it's very, very helpful to think in that way. Not in 2 years. No. What is like yourself times 20? And I think that when you ask that, and then you look around, not to judge anyone, right? Not to judge or make anyone wrong, but what do you want for yourself? And like, I think that was very, very, you said it very quickly, Sarah, but I think that was very, very powerful, because then you got this like glimpse. You got this like, oh no, if I don't shift something now, I will be these people in 20 years. And again, it's not to judge people, but people are either a warning or they're an example. Anyone you know, think about it.
Oh my gosh,
Literally.
that's like a hashtag.
Hashtag.
Like
you right?
warning or example.
I think my brother-in-law told me that. I didn't make it up. I don't really make anything I say of any use up usually. I usually just take it from someone, but it's true. And I think for you, Sarah, I love that you said, like, you looked around and you're like, do I want to be doing that in 20 years? The answer is no. Now, what am I going to do now to get myself in order? And I wouldn't dismiss what you've done. Like in a year during COVID, when deals are hard to get, like good deals that make money, especially flipping, are hard to get. And you're doing it and you've done a number of them and you have rentals, like kudos to you, especially kudos to you starting now. Really. Cause I mean, I don't think my first year in real estate did not look like that. We kept going, we kept going, but it did not look like that. So kudos to you. And I think your ability to like jump in, figure it out. And also, like you said, know the numbers. And if you don't feel comfortable analyzing numbers, go to people who've looked at these projects before. Bigger Pockets has some great calculators. People that that know someone has a spreadsheet they can share with you. Don't overthink the numbers. The numbers aren't like this. Whoa, just start running numbers, start looking at deals, start plugging them into something. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? So I just wanted to say that too.
One thing that I want to just mention is that, she started living that goal now. It's like practicing. It's like, oh, in 5 years, I want to be this person. And then like 4 years and 11 months, you've been doing exactly the same thing. And then okay, 5 years, you become that person. You got to start practicing being that 5-year person now. And I think that you and your husband, Sarah, you guys are on the right track, because you guys are like, okay, got the knowledge, let's practice, let's get out of here, let's learn the lesson and just move forward, not waiting for it. It's like thanking all those people that are stuck in traffic around you, because they really like motivated you. So next time you see them, say, thank you so much. Thank you, all of you that are around me here in traffic, because you guys allow me to live my best life.
Yeah. For the women listening, we always talk about action, right? And Andres are big into that. Like, and I'm sure you are too, Sarah. You wouldn't have created what you've created if you're not someone who's action oriented. And some of the women in our community, right, are these women who just want to take action. So for the women listening that are stopping themselves, and you know who you are, all right? I don't know you by name, but I know women are.
Let me tell their names. No,
I know.
Just kidding.
I know that because I am like that in certain areas that are newer to me, right? We all have that ability of like, we run really quickly here, but it was something new. Some of us, I'm not gonna say all personality styles, but some of us maybe like they overthink it, they overanalyze, they just get cautious, right? So for the women listening who are stopping themselves in something when it comes to investing, what would you tell them?
Write your goals down.
Write your goals down.
That's the biggest thing, is don't just have them in your head. Don't have them on your phone. Write them down on a piece of paper, or write them down on your computer and print them out and put them all over your house, right? Put them on your fridge. We do this. We do this every quarter. We put them on our fridge, both our nightstands, on our mirrors, on the kitchen table, and it's at my desk. So every time, anywhere I go, I'm looking at my goals, and anything I do, it must go with those goals, right? So my husband and I have this conversation all the time. Like, he was doing something like, I was like, why are you doing that? Or that's not in our goals. We need to go where we go. And so we don't get sidetracked. And the reason I say that is because once you hit those goals, you make a set. If you're saying, I want to set a goal to start investing. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? Are you going to do that by reading 3 or 4 books? Read those 3 or 4 books. I'm going to read those 3 and 4 books. I'm going to do it in a month. And then after that, I'm going to buy my first rental. Once you've done that, then do it. Actually go do it. Because if you don't write down your goals, you're going to get sidetracked. You're going to go do something else. And if you're constantly seeing it every single day, it's a constant reminder to yourself that you have to get this done. You shouldn't be doing anything else until those things are done. That should be the highest priority. And you shouldn't be doing anything else that goes against those goals or isn't aligned with those goals. So that's kind of what I do. And it's just like, I see it everywhere I go in my house, everything I do. I'm like, okay, these are the things I need to do. Everything I'm doing should be in progress of that.
Love it. Love it. And if for the analytical women listening, they're like, oh, that's nice to do, but just to write down your goals. But statistically, so much research has shown when you actually write things down, the chances of you doing them go up significantly. I don't know all the percents, but you could do your own research on that. But it's not just a nice thing to do. It actually moves you towards those goals faster. There's something.
And the next step is share with others.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, write it down
on your Instagram, and then you have to do it because now everyone following you is going to make you do it.
That's the truth. I've been getting people, because I've mentioned it a few times that I want to buy a vacation rental, and a few people are like, I was talking to someone, they're like, well, you said it on stage that you wanted to buy a vacation rental. I'm like, that's why I talk about it, because I know people are going to hold me accountable. And then I'm like, and it just helps us all be our best selves, right? Everyone needs help. It's not like you're not like done with any of that. Everyone needs to kind of hold each other accountable, and they get that in different ways. So I love that idea of writing your goals down. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of it too. And then obviously sharing it with others that support you, or at least lift you up and cheerlead for you. Watch who you share those things with that are going to tear you down. Don't do that. Not a big fan of sharing goals with people who are going to just make you sound like this is a good time to invest in real estate. I don't know about that. Don't share it with those people. We all know them. I mean, I can talk about my family and friends. I could tell you the people in my hand who would say that, but they don't say that to me because, they know to go pound sand. Anyway, Sara, this has been awesome. Where can all the ladies listening learn more about you?
We keep up on our Instagram page. So it's Gair, GAIR .real estate. And that's the best place to reach out to us. That's our favorite part. Like, we love talking to new investors or people who are investing in general, just to work together and see where we can go.
Awesome. And all this information you guys can find on our show notes. Now we're going to transition to our fabulous 3 questions. And the first one, Sara, is what's the most transformational book you ever read?
Oh, that's really hard. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Second question is, what's the most powerful routine that you do to live a financially free and balanced life?
Write my goals down and have a schedule for every single day of what's
there you
happening
go.
at the time.
Tight ship. I like that. The last question, Sara, is which woman, famous or not, has inspired you the most?
I had this one. Madam C.J. Walker. If she can do it, I mean, you can do it, right? Someone who came from nothing. If she can do it, you can do it. I love her. Great show on Netflix too.
Yes, on my list. I love that. Sara, it's been such a pleasure. So excited about your journey and so excited about where you go. You're doing some great things, and you have such a great way about going at it. So good for you. And thanks for sharing your story with our community today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sara. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to receive updates on our next interviews, go to our website, therealestateinvestor.com. There, you can subscribe to our show, become part of our investor community, and get updates on upcoming episodes.
If you like our show, please share it with other women who would benefit. And don't forget to leave us a rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, we encourage you to take one action as a result of today's show and put it into motion so you can live both a financially free and balanced life. Thanks for spending time with us.
Ciao.